is because our theme of today is how to craft your first humorous speech. And you will learn a lot today in our edu session, and I hope you can apply it in your daily life. For example, you just want to chat with your partner or with your girlfriend or with your boss, for example, and you know that humor is one thing that can elaborate your or increase your relationship. And did someone smell something? I smell excitement. That is our word of the day. Excitement. So what is excitement? Excitement is feeling of great enthusiasm and eagerness. For example, I feel excitement when I join this club to learn, right? So please use this word of the day as much as you can in our edu session, in our regular session. So because of that, you can enrich your vocabulary and improve yourself. And what is our agenda for today? We have three main agenda. The first is prepare speech for 5 to 7 minutes. It will be delivered by the only members. So if you want to deliver a prepare speech, please join Toastmaster Club right now. And the second agenda is edu session. Will be 20 to 40 minutes. And last but not least, the speech evaluations also from members 2 to 3 minutes. And please join Toastmaster Club if you want to do evaluation. And today, I will be not alone. I have my general evaluation team that will be led by distinguished Toastmaster Ravi as our general evaluator. Distinguished Toastmaster Ravi,
Good evening.
the screen is yours.
Good evening, Toastmaster. The evening. Yes, as the general evaluator for this evening, my role will be evaluate the entire proceedings of the meetings. But to help me, I have several role players. I have the timer Agong. Can you please explain your role, please?
Okay, thank you so much, Toastmaster Rafi. Yes, my name is Agung, and I'll be your timer for tonight. So, what is my duty? So, I will time the prepared speeches. So tonight we will be having three kind of speeches. First is prepared speeches, which is 5 to 7 minutes. The second is the edu session, is 40 minutes, and then the third one is evaluator session, which is 2 to 3 minutes. So I will also alert each speaker of the time they have left using the green, yellow, and red background. So what will I do with the green, red, and yellow? Like this. So, for example, for the prepared speech, because they have 5 to 7 minutes, I will change my background like this to green when the speaker already wrapped up 5 minutes of their speech, and then 6 minutes is yellow, and then 7 minutes will be red. It will be the same with the edu session, like the Isyraqi. It will be 20 minutes will be green, 30 minutes will be yellow, and 40 minutes will be red. So it will be also for the evaluator. 2 minutes will be green, 2 minutes 30 seconds will be yellow, and then 3 minutes will be red. So after when I change my background into red like this, I encourage each speaker to wrap up the latest 30 seconds until I change my background to red, in order for you to be eligible to be voted at the end of the session. So I think that as for me, I will give the control back to our beloved GE.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Agong, for explaining the role of the timer. Timing is very important in Toastmasters because we learn to stand up, speak up, and of course, I wouldn't say sit down. Just they say shut up, but I'd rather say sit down. But we are already seated. But one thing I need to explain is every speaker will be given an extra 30 seconds to wind down. So the moment you see the red light, you ought to grind to a halt. Because if you can stop at the green light or slightly earlier, better, but 30 seconds is the normal. Thank you, Agong, for explaining. Moving next to the R and word counter, word of the day counter. Toastmaster Mazel, please.
Thank you. Today, I'm gonna be your AHA WOD counter. So my responsibility is to note words and sounds that are used as a pause filler. So beware, like and please do not use them. Or maybe the overused words like and, well, but, so. In this time, just practice to not use those words very frequently. And I will note the frequency of using the word of the day. What is the word of the day? Excitement. Don't forget. Use the word of the day, excitement. And after that, at the end of the meeting, I will report the number of times that you use the word, the overused word, or the filler, pause filler, like I explained before. Thank you. Back to GE.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Mazel, for explaining the R and word of the day counter. Moving on next, another important role, a grammarian. Toastmaster Salman, please.
Thank you, Mr. G. So tonight I'm going to be serving as your grammarian. What I do is I'm going to note common errors and mispronunciation in all of your speeches. But please do not be afraid and do not be mad at me, and don't let it dampen your excitement, because what we do is to learn to make ourselves, to make all of us continue to be better. I will also note notable quotes that you made and share it at the end of the meeting. Back to you, Mr. G.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Salman, for explaining the role of the grammarian. And last but not least, Toastmaster Fa, to explain the role of the ballot counter. Toastmaster Fa, please.
Thank you, Rafi. Happy morning, my fellow Toastmaster and guests. My name is Fadia, and tonight I will be the ballot counter. As a ballot counter, I will create polls during this meeting. I will use easy polls and then send links through the chat box. And during each ballot cast, you are going to vote for the best prepared speakers and also the evaluators. Please use your rights to vote and encourage the speakers. By the end of the meeting, please don't leave it yet, because we will have a Hall of Fame for the most voted speakers. Then can't wait to hear your remarkable speech. Everyone, back to you, GE. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Fadia, for explaining the role of the ballot counter. I'm sure this evening all my technical role players, including me, will deliver our reports with full excitement. Now, with this, I'm excited to pass back the control to the Toastmaster of the evening, Toastmaster Alvin, please. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Ravi, my fellow Toastmaster and guests. How beautiful is that, right? You are in the meeting, you are in the regular session, probably an usual session, you just deliver speech, you just speak, but you don't know how you can be improved. But now we have the GE team that will always improve you, that will give you a feedback. So because of that, you can be always better every week when you join Toastmasters. So join Toastmaster today. Okay, now let's move on to our very first agenda, which is the prepared speech session. The first speaker is Toastmaster Ayu, and Toastmaster Ayu will deliver level 1 project 2, and she will be introduced by her evaluator, Toastmaster Septi. Toastmaster Septi, please introduce Toastmaster Ayu. The screen is now yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Alvin. My fellow Toastmaster and guests, right now, we would like to hear about the speech 2 of level 2 from, project 2, level 1 from Toastmaster Ayu, which is, let me check it again. Yeah, MBA, a key to happy and fulfilled life. MBA, a key to happy and fulfilled life. Toastmaster Ayu, please, the screen is yours.
On the scale of 1 to 10, how would you gonna scale if someone asks you how happy you are with your life? Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmaster and distinguished guests, appreciate if you can chat in the box of how happy you are with your current life. I am very glad to see that all of us are in the spectrum of happy life. But I do believe that happiness is really personal. So here's my story. As a business school graduate, I always believe I inspire to be a leader. I want to climb the corporate ladders and become the CEO of the corporations. That's what I define as a happy and fulfilling life. Because I'm very curious about it, I asked a few people who have been there, and they said to me, Ayu, in order to go there, you have to follow few paths. You have to follow the path that you have go through. First, graduated from business school. Second, got 3 to 5 years of experience in consulting firm. And third, got your MBA. Okay, it makes sense for me at the first place. But then I met with a woman, very ambitious, worked really hard, achieving the best career in her life, very alpha woman. But unfortunately, she is feel depressed inside, feeling unhappy, unfulfilled, and feeling so mentally exhausted. Maybe what people say an MBA is not what I thought an MBA is. Ladies and gentlemen, our society really appreciate happiness and correlate with something related to material stuff. What brand of your car? How big your house is? Where is the location of your house? Is it in Menteng? Is it in Pondok Indah? But then, really, I don't want to take the credit of the research, but the happiness is really something scientifically back study. So there is someone who will really learn how to be happy in life. Let me share you my screen. So what it takes to have a happy and fulfilling life. This study is conducted by a professor from the University of Texas, Austin. His name is Raj Raghunathan. I hope I pronounce it right. So the fact that a lot of very ambitious overachiever person aren't not happy with themselves. And here are the foundation of building a happy and fulfilling life based on that research. First, building a happy life and fulfilling life is like building a house. In order to have a house, a nice house, you have to have a strong foundation. The foundation is the basic needs. There is no such thing of being happy if you're still hungry and don't know where to live or you're homeless. So as you know, the Scandinavian country amongst the top tier of the happiest people because they have everything they need to feel full and know where to live. But then a house needs the pillars. So the pillars, that's where the MBA stepped in. First, The M stands for mastery. People who are really mastering what they are doing in life tend to be more happy than people who are not. As you know, that we are living in the office more than in our home. So if you are not happy with your jobs, you are going to be miserable. You will lose a lot of source of happiness. And the second pillar is belongings. So belongings is related to deep connection with somebody. But don't worry, my fellow single friends. Among the top 10% of people said they have deep connection with the same gender friend. So not their spouse either. So having a deep connection with someone is really important for your mental health. People who you can share your problems, you can talk to, where you can be the best version and the worst version of yourself. And the third pillar is the autonomy. People who can control whatever they want to do with their life tend to be more happy, tend to be more fulfilled than happier than those who have been controlled and cannot take any decision in their life. So it's also said that if you can choose whatever you want to do with your life, you tend to live longer than people who have been controlled by somebody else. So it is so important to have the autonomy, the control over any decision that you make in your life. But then coming the last component, the last part of the house, the roof. The roof is the abundance mindset. So the difference between the opposite of abundance is the scarcity mindset. People who think about scarcity will always think life as a zero-sum game. In order to them to be happy, someone else have to be sad, or to make them successful, someone else have to be failed. But people with abundance mindset think differently. They always think everyone can win and they can win too. So it is important to have abundance mindset. But then to conclude, I believe every one of us are very craving for having a very happy and successful, fulfilling life. Because it is so evolving, it is really personal. I hope every one of you find out your MBA, and I hope you can mastering what you are really passionate about, have someone to belong to, and having control over yourself. So hope you everyone can get your MBA. Thank you. Back to Tom.
Okay, let's have a round of applause to Toastmaster Ayu. Yay! What a great speech, Toastmaster Ayu. I hope everyone can benefit very much from your speech today. It's very, I see a lot of excitement in the chat box. Thank you, Toastmaster Ayu. Now, my fellow Toastmaster and guests, let's move to our second speaker, which is Toastmaster Dendy will deliver his level 1 project 2. And Toastmaster Dendy will be evaluated by Toastmaster Garda. So Toastmaster Garda, please introduce Toastmaster Dendy. The screen is yours.
Thank you, Toastmasters of the evening. Happy morning, my fellow Toastmasters, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I am privileged to evaluate one of our newest members in SCBD Toastmasters, who is Toastmaster Dendy. And now he is about to deliver his level 1 project 2 in his path of presentation mastery, whereas the purpose of this project is for Toastmaster Dendy to learn or review basic methods for writing a speech with a defined purpose and to present a well-organized speech on any topic. And in this occasion, his speech purpose is to let the audience know about the goals based on logical and science. How exciting is that? Because I can feel the excitement from Toastmaster Dendy himself. And for the next 5 to 7 minutes, let's hear from Toastmaster Dendy. Are goals real? Are ghosts real? Toastmaster Dendy, the screen is yours.
A shadowy figure rushed through the door. It had a granny female body, surrounded by a white, blurry aura. The figure hovered and didn't seem to have a face, and then suddenly disappeared out of thin air. Did you guys have paranormal experience before? Did you guys have experienced a ghost sighting, or maybe encounters a weird and eerie or creepy moments? If you guys did, you could confirm to us on the chat box below. Or maybe you could tell us your story on the chat box below. So, what is ghost? What is ghost? It's mysterious, liminal, impossible to neatly define or categorize. First off, let me jump in to the logical and science of this eerie topic. In the mythology, a ghost or spirit is a dead person who interacts with the living world. In stories, a ghost may whisper or groan, "Help me," cause things to move or fall, mess with electronics, even appear as a shadowy, blurry, or see-through figure. Not only are ghosts supposed to be able to do things that science says are impossible, such as turn invisible or pass through walls, but also scientists using reliable research methods have found zero evidence that ghosts exist. What scientists have discovered, though, are lots of reasons why people might feel they have had ghostly encounters. But their data show is that you can always trust your eyes, ears, or brain. We may also see, hear, or feel figures or creatures that aren't really there. So in science, that was called a hallucination. Most of us just ignore something that we experience, but some may turn to ghosts as the explanation. So in with logic and science prove that ghosts aren't real. But are they? Let's see how about people's belief. We jump into the world's perspective on ghosts. Are ghosts real? Over 25,000 people ask Google that very questions each month. In China, Malaysia, Singapore, Vietnam, and Thailand, the 7th month of lunar calendar ushers in the Hungry Ghost Festival, where it is believed that ghosts of the deceased are temporarily released from the lower ground to visit the living. In Taiwan, over 95% of the population believes in ghosts. Their calendar system even incorporates this with a ghost month. And they held a ghost festival where the government shuts down, pausing official proceedings like court cases. As in Indonesia, our culture are very close to the paranormal world, like many rumors about the dead and many types of ghosts. What type of ghost in Indonesia that you guys know? If you pocong or maybe kuntilanak or tuyul, if you guys want to tell us something, let me know in the chat box of ghosts in Indonesia. Okay, so while every culture may present ghosts and their relationship to them differently, it is indeed found throughout the world. It's worldwide tradition with an ancient history and overlaps with politics and history and religion. People assume that if they can't explain something in natural terms, then it must be something paranormal. So guys, I want to give you some example of video of a ghost sighting. It's just a quick video. I want to share screen. Okay. So what we have here, it's a TikTok explorer called Hassan Barbar. So He explored to haunted places and find ghosts in the haunted places. And then he encounters a satanic old man. As we see here, this is the ghost. This is the ghost. And then Hasan Barbar tries to approach it. We can see here, this is the ghost. I'm sorry if this kind of creepy. So we can see that that thing moved to the right side of this wall. And then Hasan Barbar approached to that room. And when he got there, it's just a wall. It's just a wall, guys. Okay, let me replay it one more time. This is the ghost. And then he approaches to the room. When he approached, there's nothing there. And it's just a wall there. Okay, so from watching the video, we could see how many of you guys that believe in ghosts. You could give me an answer or a yes or no answer if you believe in ghosts. So I want to get back to you guys. I want to give the answers to you guys. Are ghosts real? Thank you.
Give a round of applause to Toastmaster Dendy. Wow. So I see a lot of excitement in the chat box and also somewhere here, maybe from some unseen, also feel excitement, I guess. Well done. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Dendy, for your speech. Whew. Wow, I cannot say anything because I'm a little bit shaky right now. But we now have to be happy, and you know how to be scared. Now, what next? Let's move to our next session. Now, here is it. This is our main agenda, our main session of the day. It is Edu session. This is a panel discussion will be led by Toastmaster Isyraqi, and he will be evaluated by Toastmaster Andika. So, Toastmaster Andika, please kindly introduce Toastmaster Isyraqi. The screen is yours.
Thank you, Tom. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we will have Toastmaster Isyraqi to deliver his project, which is moderate a panel discussion. This is his level 5 project in a pathway of persuasive influence. And the purpose of this project is for Toastmaster Isyraqi to apply his skills as a public speaker and leader to facilitate a panel discussion. So without further ado, let's enjoy the session.
All right. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Andika, for introducing me. So because before this one we talk about ghosts. I see so many faces just scared right now. So just relax, guys. Let's make love together tonight, because in this session we will talk about humorous speech. So I'm Raki, live from Kamayoran, not from New York virtually again. I'm from Kamayoran. And tonight we will have 3 panelist speakers, which is the amazing speakers that I ever met before. The first is from Toastmaster Eleos. He is an English stand-up comedian, podcaster, and writer of 14 ebook. And then the second is Toastmaster Reza Mardian. He is division winner of Humorous Speech Division G 2022, and then runner-up for District 87 double topic contest. And then the last is DTM Yusuf Chandra. He is a division winner of Humorous Speech Division B 2022 and also stand-up comedian. So guys, what comes on your mind when you heard about humor? Please type on the chat box. All right, releasing attention, funny, laugh, fun, and so on. All right, before we start, I just found the three fun facts about humor. The first is a sense of humor reduces sick days. And then the second is fun environments reduce burnout and turnover. And then the last is humor boosts creative thinking. Is it true? Let's find out on our education tonight. So, hello, my lovely panelist speakers, Toastmaster Reza Mardian, Toastmaster Eleos, and DTM Yusuf Chandra, distinguished Toastmaster Yusuf Chandra. How are you guys tonight?
I'm still scared.
You still scared, Toastmaster Reza?
Yes, me too.
How about you, distinguished Toastmaster Yusuf?
Well,
Are you
if they're
still
all
scared?
scared, then I will be scared as well.
You can't say that just because we say that.
All right. Are you ready for tonight?
Yes.
Maybe I wanna start with the questions about what is humor on your perspective. Maybe DTM Yusuf Chandra, please answer it.
Thank you very much. What is humor? Humor is a spice that can make our speech becoming more interesting and more exciting to listen to. People are getting bored of listening to the speeches. But when we add humor in it, people start looking and listening to us. Oh, this is something different. So for me, humor is something to spice up our speech to make it more interesting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Yusuf Chandra. Maybe next I want to hear from Toastmaster Eleos.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. What is humor in your perspective? Interesting, because I'm a businessman. Well, of course, I will answer it. I love money, money, money. And corporation will pay big bucks for who leave employees loving and motivated. Can you imagine? You are getting paid and you are getting the excitement from the audience. Wow, what you want more, right? The excitement from the audience, the money, money, money. So also the customer or the client enjoyed our service and free trip, right? We're going to anywhere because for the accommodation, for the audience itself, and yes, the sponsors will love us. Well, I'm a businessman, totally. Why I go to the humor? Because it is the easiest and the cheapest way to make money. So yes, Isyraqi, that's my perspective.
All right, thank you so much, Toastmaster Eleos. How about
Thank you.
Toastmaster?
That's the dress code. But humor for me is a social lubricant. So a mentor of mine actually has his own definition. humor is supposed to make you fun. Humor is supposed to make you relatable. Humor is supposed to make you accessible. And it helps you connect with other people above all. And I realized that sometimes we cannot control what other people think of us, right? And I realized that when I think when I'm in the late 20s or something, I realized that a lot of people think that I'm actually annoying. And I really want to, try that image a little bit. So I want to try to use a brand that I can be accessible, I can be funny by actually using humor on day-to-day basis. I think just to add, that's my point of view about humor.
All right. So the resume is about humor is a spice from the speech. From humor we can get money, and from humor we can build our personality. Like Toastmaster Reza says, he just look like a serious man, but not really, because Toastmaster Reza love humor so much, right?
Yeah.
So maybe because tonight we are talking about humorous speech, maybe Toastmaster Eleos, Toastmaster Reza, and distinguished Toastmaster Yusuf wanna give the example, maybe what like just one liner to be the example what is humor speech itself. Maybe I see Toastmaster Elias already ready to do that.
Did you just ask us to perform, Raki?
just one liner, just one liner.
I think this is not on the script, Raki. Come on. You're not prepared for this. And I'm a theoretical and practical humor speaker here. I just want to share one liner. It is only in the structure itself. Like in every speech, there is a structure. And humor speech is 70% entertainment and 30% is message. So sort of a funny sermon. If you are attending a sermon, well, you know it. Like some of the church chairperson, I would like to say it, they will like to use this kind of method to reach their audience. So they will stay tuned until the end of the sermon. Can you imagine if the speaker is so old, so gloomy, and they are boring? What makes the audience will come to to the church again, or to another religion place, right? So for one liner, I haven't prepared it, so I will come back again after this. So back to you, Raki.
All right, thank you so much, Toastmaster Elias. How about distinguished Toastmaster Yusuf Chandra?
Okay, I'll try to give you one liner. The teacher is talking to a small boy. The teacher said, if your mother gave you 5,000 rupees, what would you do? And the boy said, I will cry. Why? Because she always give me 10,000 rupees. Thank you.
Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Yusuf Chandra. I see so many people here didn't scare anymore. They just laugh. So yeah, I can reduce their scare. So the last, Toastmaster Reza, give your one-liner, Toastmaster Reza.
Well, this is not a one-liner, and I could not think any content else. It just pops up because it's not actually my humor. It's actually my mentor's humor. He gave this example for putting your conversation to, make it funny, but it may only work in Indonesian. I'll just translate it anyway. I don't know if it's funny or not. Hey,
It's
Raki,
okay.
do you know that a woman who's breastfeeding, they can't actually, ride bajai?
Why?
Yeah, because the breast milk will become a milkshake. That's not funny. But in Indonesia, that can be funny because the word is actually the punchline. Yeah, I think that's the example.
Yes, thank you so much, Toastmaster Reza. I can relate because yeah, back again, humor speech is not just about translated one, but yeah, we should to make sure is it relate or not to the audience. So thank you so much, Toastmaster Reza, for the one-liner itself or the example of humor speech. And talking about humor speech, it's always about the composition or the formula itself, because yeah, because humor speech or anything due to the speech there's a formula, right? So how's the composition on the humor speech itself? Toastmaster Eleos?
I think I have gone with the composition itself, right? So I will go with the one-liner that you would like to listen. Maybe I have few quite of one-liners that I have prepared now. I just write it down. Now you are so naughty, yeah. So I will start it. To start off, let me ask you a riddle. It has a tail and a head, but it's not an animal. What is it? Come on, type it down on the chat box. It has a tail and a head, but it's not an animal. What is it? Nice one. Yeah, good one. Good job, good job, good job. That's one of the one-liner. Okay, another one. I will have three, yeah, so you can enjoy the engagement here and the excitement. If money is growing on trees, what will be your favorite season? If money is growing on trees, what will be your favorite season? Okay, nice. Angela got it right. Okay, good. The last one. This is the one-liner again, yeah? Even though you need some cold hard cash, remember not to put your money in the fridge. You got it? Okay, that's it. Back to you, Raki.
All right, thank you so much, Toastmaster Elias, for the riddle as the one-liner example. So maybe distinguished Toastmaster Yusuf Chandra, I just want to go back to the questions. How's the composition itself for the humor speech?
Thank you very much. Well, you asked me the composition of a humorous speech.
Yes.
Usually we have to give the humor most of the time in the beginning, in the opening, and then another two in the body, and close up in the conclusion one more humor, because people will be laughing and then listening to our story, then another laugh, then more laugh, and then close with another laugh, and that will stay in the people's mind. So there are minimum of four humor in one speech. Once again, one in the opening, two in the body, and one in the closing.
All right.
I think I'm usually using those kind of structure of the humor things.
All right, thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Yusuf Chandra. How about you, Toastmaster Reza? What is your formula to write your humor speech?
I have one secret formula to craft the most amazing humor speech. And that is there's no formula. No, just kidding. So just to add one.
Are you Soleh Solihun?
I am not. Just to add what DTM Yusuf has to say, I think this is the context on humorous speech for performance. Yeah. Okay, so I think what distinguished Toastmaster Yusuf has demonstrated was already a good example in structuring your humor in accordance to your structure, right? But I think there is one thing that could make your audience and make your judge bias, and it's bias in a good way, because this is the factor that they may not even aware, or you may not even aware. I think that's the reaction or the engagement of the audience itself. The more festive, the more excitement shown, the more funny, the excitement, the crazier the audience becomes, the funner the atmosphere becomes. I think the judges can actually feel that you're funny and you should win, something like that. What I do learn from having online humorous speech was that it's weird because you cannot see the reaction of your audience. You cannot even see their face because you're literally just seeing yourself. So narcissistic on my end. But if it's on-site performance, you can actually do that. For example, I learned that usually in humor speech, like what distinguished Toastmaster Yusuf has said, usually humor speech is like an international speech, but with more laughter a little bit. But in 2012, when a fellow member in Essential, Ratu, won back then, her speech was like very funny all the way. Every second, every moment, she has the punchline, and that makes the audience wild. And I think even though it's not what normally how a speech goes, but because of the crowd goes wild, I think eventually she became the winner. So I think that's one factor that I think we should consider if you want to craft a speech itself.
All right. So from Toastmaster Eleos is 70-30 formula, 70% message, right? Toastmaster Eleos, 70% message, 30% humor. And then from distinguished Toastmaster Yusuf Chandra, the formula is the first on the opening, the second on the body, and then the third on the closing. And from Toastmaster Reza,
no. The first in the opening, two in the body, and one in the closing.
All right. The first on the opening, two in the body, and then one in the closing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Yusuf Chandra, to make it clear. And then from Toastmaster Reza, just put the punchline everywhere. Is it correct?
More like try to give the best reaction for the audience.
All right.
But you can say that, put the punchline everywhere.
So maybe the next is, because tonight we're just talking about how to craft the first humorous speech after we know the composition. So I just so curious about how the way you select the word to make it people laugh, of course, and yeah, to entertain the audience. Maybe Toastmaster Reza.
Sorry, could you repeat that again? How do we entertain the people?
How the way you select the word to make the audience laugh.
Right. So I think Raki and Wira would know this answer because they're big fans of stand-up comedians. I think in comedy there has to be a victim, right? Because eventually the victim are the object that we laugh at. And I think crafting the victim has to be careful because there's a line or there's a code. We have to make sure before we make someone victim that it's not an issue that they will be hurt. So I think the safest way to craft the humor is putting yourself as a victim because that's like the safest thing, right? We know what we can tell to people, and we know we won't feel bad if we laugh about it, and we know if other people laugh at us about that particular topic that we're confident at, we won't be hurt as well. So I think be yourself, show your persona, be vulnerable, and then make yourself the victim. And that's I think by allowing us to be that vulnerable and accessible, people actually could relate. And sometimes they laugh because they know it's true, because it's happened to them as well.
All right. If I can conclude for what you said, Toastmaster Reza, it's just like self-deprecating, right? To find the humor from ourselves as the object of the laugh and invite the audience to laughing at ourselves, right?
right? Just to add, be vulnerable, but also make sure that that vulnerability is something that we are confident to share, because not all things can be shared, right?
Yes. How about distinguished Toastmaster Yusuf Chandra perspective? How the
For
way we
me,
select the word?
play with the words. Let me give you an example. In one of my speeches, I usually use my own example or my family, my wife usually.
Yeah.
For example, one day I invited my boss come to our house to have dinner, and my wife was cooking fried noodle, but she forgot the word noodle. So she brought the fried noodle steaming hot, and she said, "Sir, would you like to try me while still hot?" So that is a double meaning. Try me means noodle, the noodle which is hot, not her. But that can make people laugh because it's one word that has got two meanings, right?
Right.
So usually I try to pick up the word that has two meanings. And usually I'm not talking about other people. Usually talk about me, my family, my wife, my son, my anything close to my family. That makes the people laugh usually. Thank you.
Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Yusuf Chandra. So from your answer, I see the way you select the word is about the using the plot twist with the double meaning words, right? All right. Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Yusuf Chandra. And next, how about Toastmasters Eleos perspective?
Okay, if you are selecting a word, number one, do not sacrifice your message for a joke. It will diminish the power of your talk. Where there is so many speakers that they are trying to be funny and they forget this is not a stand-up comedy stage. It is a humorous stage. So yes, do not do that. Don't be naughty. Number two, when putting together your talk, go for the message first, then add the humor as an aside. As the sandwich itself or the burger, well, the mustard is the humor. The burger is the message and the speech itself. Number three, well, look at this way lah. You are a funny person, but giving a serious. You are a funny person, you are giving serious. You are a funny person, giving a serious. That's it. Back to you, Raki.
All right. So from Toastmasters Eleos' answer is first not trying to be funny and then focusing on the message first before the humor itself. And then the last is about the philosophy of burger. Wow, it's an exciting moment for us here to learn about humor speech. And maybe I want to ask about, is there any do's and don'ts in humor speech? Distinguished Toastmaster Yusuf, I just want to know from your perspective first.
In humorous speech, we have to see the situation. Like when we are in Indonesia, we can make use of Indonesian jokes. But once we are talking or we are making a speech into the international, like with Malaysian and Brunei, be very careful because maybe our joke is not funny for them. So that is my tip. One example is one of my friends was so funny. She won the division level, and when she went to the district, nobody was laughing at him, because it is not fun at all for those people. So be very careful. We have to watch out our jokes. is it okay with other people? Or is it only okay in our country? So that's my tips. Don't think that our joke is also applicable to other people outside Indonesia, especially in the district level contest. Thank you.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmasters Yusuf Chandra. So the first that we should know is about the culture itself, because like I said before in the beginning, like one humor is not applicable to anywhere, right? Because we should to notice the culture first. Thank you so much. And how about Toastmasters perspective? About do's and don'ts.
There's nothing new actually. I think DTM Yusuf covered it, and I also covered it for a while ago. I just want to get back to my point about the victims, because sometimes we don't necessarily, just because we tell our story or we don't make somebody else victim, doesn't mean that somebody else can't feel offended as well. Like, for example, I once heard from my mentor, I think it was I think in 2014 or 15, she attended this convention. There's a speaker who she thought was going to win, I think, the national speech back then, but the speaker was also funny. But his joke was not necessarily offending women. It was actually a story about, I think, his girlfriend, but apparently the material also offended women because my mentor found it offensive. So I think be very sensitive about the victim that we choose in our story. Just because we tell a story about our sister, our mother, who actually are consented to be part of our stories, doesn't mean that it cannot offend women in general.
All right, so we should pay attention with the victim, right? So to reduce the, what is it to say, the trigger for everyone to get angry to your humors.
Yeah, because this is the context of humorous speech, right? Not in stand-up comedian, because I think stand-up comedian is way more liberated, way more liberal. They find it blue comedy, dark comedy is actually part of the comedy in itself. But in humorous speech, I think ethic and being very polite is somewhat also our culture.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Reza. How about Toastmaster Eleos' perspective about do's and don'ts in humor speech?
Okay, or do make fun of yourself instead of others, so you can do the self-deprecating joke. And number two, or to do, is personal experience is always the best, because you will remember exactly what happened, step by step, moment by moment. It is on the time. And when creating a speech, ask yourself, what three things must the audience remember 1 year from now? So find a way to repeat those three things at least 6 times during your speech. You do it, that's your challenge, that's your homework. And for the don't, never put down anything about anyone in the room. I made that big mistake once, very big time. I did a talk for a university, but before I spoke, they showed me this extremely long and boring advertisement. So I opened with a joke about how long and boring this advertisement was, not realizing that it was the rector's production house. Well, lesson learned. Never make a joke about the person who signs your check. So, but I got the money. but I never got the call again. Number 2, don't copy other materials and make them your story without the creator's permission. Well, maybe Raki and Alvin has the thought of me myself. I am have the specialist in Kombut here to help you to write the material. When it is the Kombut session, it is ours. It is yours. It is for us to you to take. It is for us to give to you to have it as your own. So that you don't need permission, but you should definitely remember who is your mentor, who is helping you to make the joke. And yes, you can modify it to make it funnier, not to make it not funny at all. So that's your job. The last one is don't refer to the previous humorous speaker as your material without their consent, especially when you are doing in a contest. Well, that's not funny at all. They are not ready to be roasted for number 1. Number 2, they will feel offended. And number 3, well, it's all about you, not them. So yeah, back to you, Raki.
All right. It's about don't copy paste that I got from Toastmasters Eleos. Don't copy paste either, let's say, material humor speech to be yours, but make it by your own. So thank you so much, Toastmaster Eleos. And after we learn about the scripted one, I mean from the composition, the selected the words, do's and don'ts, and how about how the way we should deliver our speech and how to deal with boom moment, because like Toastmaster Reza shared before, Toastmaster Eleos shared before, there's no one laugh when when there's a guy to deliver humor speech. So how the way we should deliver our humor speech and then how to deal with boom moment. Maybe this thing is Toastmasters Yusuf Chandra.
Yes, when we tell the joke or the humor in our speech, don't go so fast into another things. Wait for a few seconds until the audience can absorb and can be laughing. Usually it takes about 30 seconds. Then we can continue with another things. Because usually when we speak very fast after one joke to the other, they don't get the joke at all. So let them absorb, let them laugh, enjoy the joke, then you move on to the next one. But again, it's not too long to wait. When they finish, even when they have not finished laughing, then you start coming in. So they say, oh, here is another joke. Then the audience will try to pay more attention. And in this case, when we are doing the contest, the judges will look at the audience. When the audience are laughing, the judges will give us higher mark. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Yusuf Chandra. How about Toastmaster Reza perspective? How to deal with boom moment and how to deliver the humor speech?
Okay, so this is for the context of humor speech, not stand-up comedy or comedy in general, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think first of all, you have to come up with your ultimate reason why you want to tell that story. Because if it's so important to you to tell that, you won't be so insecure, you won't be worried too much that it's going to be funny or not. Because eventually what's important is sending the message out there, letting people know about this message. I think that is number one, is the most important thing. The why is very important. Number two is actually, if it's on site, you have to have at least one or two people support you. So you know if something's go wrong, you know there are faces that you can look up to. You can actually see them, and you know they will smile, and you know they will try to laugh, and you know they will give you comfort and confidence. And then lastly is just keep going on. Don't stop, even though it's not funny. Just keep going on. Keep going on, and then if you learn that it's not funny, then you learn something about it. Eventually, humor, like what Toastmaster Eleos said, is just the mustard, right? So you know you have great message to convey, and the mustard is not delicious enough. So just figure out how to craft the best recipe for the mustard while still giving the best message that you want to tell. I think I, use the wrong word, message and humor. But you get my point, right?
Yes. Thank you so much. How about Toastmasters, Eleos?
Oh, hello.
Eleos is thirsty.
I'm drinking milk, like what you said, milkshake, right? So, how to deal with the boom moment? First, do you like to write the jokes? What do you feel about the writing itself? Do you like to tell it? Well, just do it. After that, it's just your luck. So that's the formula itself. You got it?
Yes.
If you got it, so I'm lucky.
Yeah. So the conclusion is just try and try and try, because boom, in one moment you can boom, but in another moment you can make your audience laugh, right? All right. What an exciting night tonight. So
Raki, do you
maybe
keep saying exciting just because it's the word of the day, or do you genuinely feel this is exciting? Don't lie.
to be honest, just just for the sake of a WOD counter,
I knew it.
but in the diplomatic way, it's really exciting. So maybe I wanna invite three my fellow Toastmasters or guests here to ask the questions before we end up the session. Maybe guys, any one of you wanna ask?
Can I ask a question?
Sure, you go on.
To all panelists, I want to ask you about jokes or humorous in Indonesia itself, because last month I joining one of the Nigel Uncle Roger stand-up comedians, and it is so sensitive culturally in Indonesia. So basically they cannot use the phone in the show. How are you gonna handle those things? Because I heard in the UK, the stand-up comedian cannot be sued based on what they said. But in Indonesia, as you know, you can be sued on what you said. If any netizen or whatever people on the internet find out it is very sensitive, how are you going to protect yourself on doing that?
Oh.
As a as a stand-up comedian or humorous speakers, sometimes that jokes, they are very culturally sensitive, sometimes more funny, sometimes funnier than other jokes. How are you gonna protect that?
Can I try to answer this question?
Sure.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ayu, for the question. I have a relevant experience that happened to me when I was in university days back in 2014, I think. So it was the year when I was immersed in stand-up community, and I feel that everything that I post has to be funny, that there has to be a punchline. I remember this is before Instagram, this is before Path, this is before TikTok. We used Facebook back then. So I remember I was in nursing school, right? And we were having this clinical practice about putting catheter So, eventually you will have to use, genitals, right? As part of the practical in itself. I saw, I think this is funny back then. I think this is funny. I saw there was this ukti who always hold the male genitals. And I don't know why she does that. So I recorded that and checked the picture. And I said, ha ha ha, astaghfirullah ukti, why are you keep handling that? And then a lecturer of mine messaged me personally, told me that it was unethical and it became big deal. I had to make like a formal apology letter to the faculty just because of that. So I think in a way, that's also one of the experience. I mean, I'm not sued, thank God, but I think it's close to that. I think you cannot control how other people would react. Because while I try to be funny, well, some people in my friends think I'm funny, my lecturers don't. So you can't control how would they react to you, but you can control how you react back to them. Eventually, I realized what they need, what they want, just an apology. So that's what I gave. I think that's just a little bit of my answer. Hope that answers.
All right, maybe Toastmaster Eleos or distinguished Toastmaster Yusuf wanna add before we end up the session?
Can you just repeat again the keyword to be answered, Raki?
How do you react if you are getting
Yes.
sued because you were recorded?
Oh, okay.
saying wrong
Okay. Well, welcome to Indonesia. Welcome to Indonesia.
Sarcastically speaking.
Yeah. I love it. Somasi. Oh, nice. Let's do it. If you don't like Pak
Freedom of
Yusuf, Somasi. Yes, Somasi. Somasi him. You don't like Pak Yusuf, right? Go Somasi him. You don't like Reza? Go Somasi him. You don't like me? Well, that's your loss. Because I don't like me myself. The punchline, rule of three. Okay, so yeah, don't worry. When you are attending into a comedy club, they will of course have the certain rule not to be recorded. And yes, you should obey the rule. If you don't, you will get out. Yeah, that's simple. Because the material itself kind of sarcastic, like what Reza said here, kind of blues also, kind of dark joke, and there are so many level of joke that cannot be tolerated by the audience in Indonesia, especially.
God.
Well, I do that.
We cannot joke about God.
Yes.
Well, I do that. And if you are asking me why you are doing stand-up comedy in English, because I love that. Because the stupid people wouldn't know what am I doing, what am I speaking, right? That's the freedom of speech that I would like to. This is the independence. We just represent independence, right? And you are by the netizen. Well, so get lost, like what I said. Just go to the national or the global audience. Well, I bring here Pak Yusuf, yeah, Pak Yusuf. You have been performed in Cambodia. You have been performed in Australia. You have been performed in Australia. You have been performed in Malaysia. I have bring lot of stand-up comedian in Indonesia to go to the global because of this English speaking community, right? So if you guys, let me just promote, right?
Yeah, I agree with him. If you want to say, I mean, to be a stand-up comedian, just join the club. Because I learn a lot from that. And I can apply that stand-up comedian in my humorous speech.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of different, when you do stand-up comedian and when you do a humor speech. Basically, it's similar, but structurally, it's not the same.
Yes.
So we have to join the club and study how the people make joke in the stand-up comedian. It's really interesting.
All right. Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Yusuf Chandra, Toastmasters Eleos and Toastmaster Reza. What an exciting night! We learned a lot about
Don't say
comedy.
that just because it's the word of the day.
I just wanna check to our WD counter what exciting that I already said. All right. So yeah, because of the limited time, I just wanna close this session with all of our speakers should give the what is it to say? What is it? Yeah, what is the last message that you want to give to us? And maybe if you can put the punchline itself.
No.
Maybe I will go with distinguished Toastmaster Yusuf Chandra.
Can I tell you a joke? Just one short joke?
Yes.
Okay. At school, Dennis learned from his friends. His friend said, "It's easy to blackmail our parents. Just say this word." So when Dennis came home, he told his mother, "Mom, I know the whole truth." And the mother, "Oh, please don't tell your dad. Here is 100,000 for you." And Dennis was just smiling. And he waited for his father to come home. When his father came home, he said, "Dad, I know the whole truth of you." "Shh, don't tell your mother. Here is 500,000 rupiah." So Dennis was so happy. The next morning, he saw the postman came. And Dennis said, "Postman, come here." "Yes, my dear. I know the whole truth of you." So, "Oh, come here, darling. Give me a hug. This is your real father." Thank you.
Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Yusuf Chandra. What an exciting closing remark from distinguished Toastmaster Yusuf Chandra. Let's hear from Toastmaster Reza and Toastmaster Eleos to give their closing remark. So maybe Toastmaster Eleos.
Okay, I'll start. Yeah. Oh, I don't want to say I start. I will close it. Yeah. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Close the door.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the key takeaways that I would like to give for you. Remember, we are speaking in a Toastmaster community here. So clean up your language, like what Natalie did. She literally bring a broom, right, during her humor speech. And then for some organization, you cannot even say HELL and CAFN. Well, I just literally try to bleep it to make it sarcastic here or unacceptable. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you think that you have a story to tell, just tell it. And if nobody love it, well, try it again. And if you are still failing, try it again and again and again. And after you do that, you will realize that sometimes when you are singing on the toilet, your voice is worse than your joke. So yes, that's it for me. And yes, just tell your story. Try to make the humor itself. Have your self-deprecating joke. And yes, you can use this. The easiest method that I can give to you is observational joke. Like what I did on the Zoom chat, I try to get to know to the audience perspective, get to know the audience. Remember, it is just a regular speech. I mean, you are doing a speech. So first of all, you should know the audience. You should know what is the material that will hit them very hard. And yes, if you don't hit them, you can just slap them. You're not laughing at me, huh? Slap, 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 slap. Okay,
Thank you so much. So the last closing remark from Toastmaster Reza, just shortly, Toastmaster Reza.
Yeah, I would love to give humor, but due to the limited time, I'm just going to dive into my closing remark. So my closing remark is that you have to create your own persona, because eventually when audience see you, they want to remember what is it about you that they like from you. I think great comedian like Ernest Prakasa, or like Indra Jegel, or like Amy Schumer, if you like Amy Schumer in the US, they have these traits that define their personas. And by having personas, it really enables you to keep coming with materials that base in your honest worryings, or honest problems, or honest premises. I think that will be my remark.
All right.
Exciting remark. That will be my exciting remark.
Yes, exciting. So, so I just feel such an honor to be lead this discussion panel. So thank you so much to distinguished Toastmasters Yusuf Chandra, Toastmasters Eleos, and Toastmaster Reza for sharing to us about humorous speech. So thank you so much for the insight. Maybe on the next, all of us can give our first humor speech. So thank you so much for that. And before I give it the control to the MC, I will call Mr. President to give the awards to our humor panelists tonight.
Woo!
Mr. President, the screen is yours.
Okay, thank you, Isyraqi, and of course, thank you very much for our lovely panelists. It was such an insightful session, and I learned a lot how to make people laugh and how to make our speeches more effective by adding spices of humor. So it might be a simple gesture of thank you, but I would like to present first to Toastmaster Eleos a certificate of appreciation, and Toastmaster Alvin will take our picture.
Thank you.
Okay, I count from 3, 2, 3, 2, 1. Okay, one more time. 3, 2, 1. Okay, done.
Thank you, Toastmaster Eleos.
My
Now,
pleasure.
for Toastmaster Reza, also thank you. We will always remember to make ourselves the victim. So Toastmaster Alvin, please take our picture.
Right. Well, I count from 3, 2, 1. Right. One more time. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Done.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Toastmaster Reza. And last but not least, our distinguished Toastmaster Yusuf Chandra. Thank you for reminding us to have 4 humor in our speeches. So let's try to apply that, guys. Toastmaster Alvin, please take our pictures.
Okay. Distinguished Toastmaster Yusuf. 3, 2, 1. Okay, one more photo. Count from 3, 2, 1. Okay, done.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for all the panelists and Toastmaster Alvin for taking our picture. Now I'm handing back the session back to the talk.
Okay, thank you so much, Toastmaster Salman. Now let's go to our photo together with the speaker. Right, so please, in count of 5, please turn on your camera so it will mark your attendance here. Okay, I will count from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Please open your camera. I will take 2 photos. The first one, 3. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! Now one more time. In count of 3, 2, 1. Okay, awesome. Thank you very much, distinguished Toastmaster, and guests for coming here in education. I hope you benefit a lot from this session, especially. Now, let's go to next session. The timer report is already in the chat box, so it is only Toastmaster Ayu and Toastmaster Dendy will be eligible to be voted. And please, Toastmaster Fa, to vote your broadcast. Okay, thank you, Toastmaster Fa. So please, everyone, put your best favorite speakers today and use your vote. Okay, now let's go to our next session, the heart of the Toastmaster. It is a evaluation session. This session will be led by our GE Distinguished Toastmaster Ravi. Distinguished Toastmaster Ravi, the screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the meeting, Alvin Albra. Now we have come to the session where we share evaluations of the meeting. Let me begin first with the evaluator for the first speech. First speech by Toastmaster Ayu, who spoke about MBA, a key to a happy and fulfilled life. Can I please call upon our evaluator, Toastmaster Septi, to share your viewpoints, please?
Thank you. Distinguished. Yeah.
Yeah, Toastmaster Hani will.
Okay. Happy morning, my fellow Toastmaster and esteemed guests. My name is Hani. Tonight I will be the evaluator for Toastmaster Septi, that she will deliver in level 1, project 4C is evaluation and feedback. The purpose of this project is to practice applying feedback and serve a speech during in the club meeting. And this speech, the purpose is to give the deliver constructive feedback and to another members in presentation. So without further ado, let's hear from the feedback from Toastmaster Septi. Over to you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to know about your reaction that you had while you listening or while you listen Toastmaster Ayu's speech. I want it count just for 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Toastmaster Ayu, you delivered so well about the speech. It seems that you well prepared on this speech. You know what? Your speech title actually triggers us to think about that you would deliver about MBA program. I believe it kind of resonates with some people who pursuing it or would like to pursue MBA program. But here, you dissect MBA into 3 points in your content. Wow. So here, I also notice about some of points that you excel at. First, engagement or engaging moment. You did it in the opening. And the second one, you deliver constructive speech. The third one, you opted speech, which relates to a nowadays situation. And the fourth, wow, so many. You provided research in order to strengthen the speech. I love it. And also the fifth, you set with a proper space. However, I also have a notice about the improvement areas. So here, the following points that you might consider. First, change your background. However, I'm so relieved because right now you have changed it. Because it would be better if you have a neutral or might be the one background, like for instance, white one. And the second one might be you could be more relaxed. Put a little bit about your smile during your speech. However, I also have a challenge for you. Why not to serve relevant story based on your experience? It would be more quite interesting, right? Overall, you nailed it. You did a great speech. So I'm looking forward to seeing your upcoming or your next speech. Thank you. Back to you, GE.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Septi, for giving a very fair evaluation of the speech done by Toastmaster Ayu. Yes, Toastmaster Ayu, I found your topic title intriguing. It came across as MBA, a key to a happy and a fulfilled life. And we always think of MBA in whatever that most of us refer to. And bang, you came in with these three things, an acronym for something else. Brilliant play with the title. On your visual, if I may suggest, good visual you had, but please work along good colors and good fonts. Anything that you show must be readable. Otherwise, don't show. That's why I call it a visual aid. A visual aid, we must be able to visualize it. So I felt that the font type and font color was such that I couldn't see it properly unless I strained myself. A small little thing, but it goes a long way in presentations. All in all, fantastic speech, good evaluation by the evaluator. Moving on now to the second speaker. Second speaker this evening being Toastmaster Dendy with presentation title, Heart Goes Real. The evaluator, Toastmaster Garda, please.
Not everyone is down for listening to any kind of horror stories, but today, on the other way around, Toastmaster Dendy just successfully proved us that our thought and perception on how to those scary things that we don't want to hear out of the stories or out of the life, that he could embark us on a journey and he could give us the perfect exemplary on how to make this work. Congratulations, Toastmaster Dendy, on your successful creation to make the ambience work. That is also what I love, the way that he synchronized his voice, his tone, and also the visual setup. At the beginning of his speech, he successfully captured our audience to listen to his appearance and also every single word that he intended to say. And not only that, I could also witness that the audience was also enjoying themselves by jotting down the responses on the chat box, meaning that the speaker was successful in leading the session, but also on how to give a great picture for all of us that he had a purpose to create a story and also to make the audience understand about the purpose of his speech, which is to understand more about these ghost stories. Now, to benefit him more in understanding and creating more scary or scarier stories in the next round, on the first one, you may consider to shift the data presentation on your speech. I noticed that when you presented data in your speech, you managed to show the data at the very half portion of your speech. On the other way around, you may consider to shift that part to the 1/3 of the beginning of your speech so that it will create an escalation on how you would make a spooky vibe and also how to make an escalation for the audience to understand about those scary feelings, not the other way around. Second of all, this was quite similar to the topic that was presented or that was raised in the panel discussion earlier about be aware who were present in the audience. Toastmaster Dendy mentioned about two local mystical creatures like pocong, kuntilanak. Two local mystical creatures of which only Indonesian and Southeast Asian people know and understand about that. So he might consider to paraphrase the label so that all of the audiences, regardless of where they come from, could also understand the picture of those creatures. Like, for example, when he mentioned about pocong, he might crafted the wording like, imagine candy, but wrapped in a white fabric, twisted on both poles. The way that you presented the metaphorical creatures on that, it will bring a vivid imagination, also the picture for the audience to understand more, because it is also important because you had a purpose to make the audience understand about your speech. But all in all, that was a super session. I look forward to hearing more from you in the next round, Mr. Dandy. Back to you, GE.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Garda, for a splendid evaluation, sharing of feedback on speech done by Toastmaster Dendy. And Toastmaster Dendy, if I can top it up, I felt you had good control of the technicals because throughout your speech, there was heavy reliance on both audio, the sound coming from that, and also the video. And sometimes, you know, there are technical glitches will hold back your speech. I myself have encountered this very often. So you are in good, full, complete control. That augmented the value of your presentation. Well done there. Moving on my program element, I have an evaluator for third speech, Toastmaster Isyraqi. I hope I pronounced this correctly. I don't know what this evaluator is for. Is it to evaluate the humor session?
Yes.
Okay, Toastmaster Anya, your feedback on the talk given this evening, please.
Smile is a universal language. And ladies and gentlemen, Toastmaster Isyraqi has demonstrated smiling from ear to ear from the beginning of the session until the end of the session. Toastmaster Raki is a calm person. When he delivered the speech or lead the session, he is a calm person. But then when he smiled, actually he showed his excitement on the material and also what the speaker has said. He looked very attentive. And Toastmaster Raki started to ask one by one speaker. It's a good example. Otherwise, it will be crowded. If he only said this question and then there is no specific speaker to ask, then it will be crowded and the speakers were waiting to be called. And when he delivered his speech, it was structured. He started with the big question, what is humor? And then give a chance the panelists to demonstrate humorous speech, and then how to compose it, how to select words, do's and don'ts, and how to deal with boom moment. So when we, the audience, are not familiar with humorous speech, those logical structure will help us to understand what the speakers are trying to explain. And then you are also asking how to compose a humorous speech. And at that time, one of the speakers instead gave examples. So after that, you said, coming back to the question, so it shows that you led the session by directing the speaker to the main question. So what would make you better in leading the session? There are two. First one is the time management. It showed that you exceed the time limit by 30 somewhat minutes. So I chat with the timer at that time. When you only had 7 minutes left, you hadn't gone to the Q&A yet. So the next time you lead the session, you might want to plan how much time you need to deliver your questions, how much time you need to give the opportunity for the audience to ask the question, and then also you do the certificate, or you give the opportunities to the president to give the certificate. So by that time, it really shows that you lead the session, you make the effective time management. And also, I would like to challenge you to reduce the word maybe. There are a lot of maybe words in your delivery, because when you're the leader, you have to be certain that I'm the leader, I know what I'm going to ask, I know what my speakers is going to say. So maybe it's distracting. On and on, I like to have you to lead more Q&A session, panel discussion, because I think you are a great host. Back to you, G.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Andia, for sharing your feedback on Isyraqi, who moderated the humor session. Yes, I fully agree with you. In particular on time management, I too have that on my notes. We grossly exceeded. By the time you came to the question time, it's already completely completed whatever time allocated for this whole session. And that's when you're beginning to ask questions. So I felt there was a little mismanagement there, only in terms of time. But otherwise, as far as interjecting, responding accordingly and all, were all spot on, very casual, very appropriate for the theme of the session, which is about humor. So well done there. Just take note of time as rightly mentioned by your evaluator. And I too observed that and have it on my script, as I mentioned. Okay, moving on now. Next, the timers report, timer and ballot. Timer is Agung, right?
Sorry, DTM Ravi, one more evaluator, Toastmaster Hani.
Oh, yeah, sorry, my apologies. Toastmaster Hani to share her feedback on Toastmaster Septi, who did the evaluation for the first speaker. Toastmaster Hani, please.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Ravi. Happy morning, my fellow Toastmaster and esteemed guests. I would say congratulations for Toastmaster Septi that she already eligible as an evaluator. Congratulations, Toastmaster Septi. Well done, and congrats for you. Regarding from the first evaluator, I have 3 points that you excel at. The first, the technique. I love during you're giving an evaluation to the speaker, to Toastmaster Ayu, you address your message with a good way in sandwich technique. You give what kind of the positive, and then you give any sum of feedback for improvement to the speaker. And you position from start from I notice you, and then you give some of the appreciation. And the second, you nailed it to the engagement to the audience. You ask to the audience to give an applause and give a small appreciation to the speaker, to Toastmaster Ayu, so the audience be more engaging, and you try to give some of the a question in the chat box. And the third, hand gesture and your expression. I love during your given evaluator, you have an expression is what's excitement, and your hand gesture when you try to give I have 4 points, and then you show it with the clearly, and so we capture what the message and through your hand gesture and effectively. And for your next improvement, I have one of recommendation for you as an evaluator to elevate in the next project. First, like an example, I like during you give 4 points of the strengths to the speaker and excel at. But it will be better if you might try to give some of an example on each point, then don't forget to summarize it. That example, if you want to try to give, you have 4 points and you excel, Toastmaster Ayu, then you give some of the example from each point, so the speaker is know the details. And so congratulations to Toastmaster Septi. Can't wait to hear your feedback again as an evaluator. Hope it helps to you. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Hani, for giving feedback to the first evaluation done by Toastmaster Septi. The cardinal principle that we need to remember when we give evaluation is, number one, remain positive. Our intention is to help the speaker. Okay, the word help must always be in the mindset. So once you come with that kind of mindset, chances are you won't go wrong. And try not to pour it on with negative comments or negative feedback. One or two. If there are more, do that after the meeting, because we want to maintain the positive atmosphere. I'm just sharing. You did a good job, no doubt about it. But that's the cardinal principle that we need to remember always. Now, moving on next, the timers report. Toastmaster Agung.
Yes, I already shared in the chat box that all evaluators are eligible to be voted.
Thank you, sir. And Toastmaster Fa, you would like to put up the ballot, I think is for the speakers and also the evaluators, I think.
Okay, give me a minute to prepare.
Okay, we can come back to you. Let us know when you're ready, yeah? No issues. So moving on, next is the grammarians report. Toastmaster Salman.
Thank you, Mr. G. For the grammarian report tonight, actually, I didn't have a lot to share, but let me share my screen anyway. So, there wasn't a lot of error tonight, but I found some that might be useful for us. So, for example, there was it sounds makes sense, that should be it sounds sensible. And there's a usage of anywhere versus everywhere. Not applicable to anywhere should be not applicable everywhere. So if you say not applicable anywhere, it means there are no place where it is applicable. But if you say not applicable everywhere, that means there are places that it was applicable, but not everywhere. There wasn't much error, but we hear a lot of great quotes tonight, especially from Toastmaster Ayu about happiness, how it is personal, how our society relates happiness with material possession, and how people who master what they are doing tend to be happier. Overall, it was a great speech. Then there are a lot of quotes that we can learn from Toastmaster Ayu. And from Toastmaster Dendy, so scary ghosts are real, but are they? And he actually reminds us that they have tendency that when we cannot explain something with natural terms, we immediately jump to that there's something paranormal, even though that's not always the case. And from Isyraqi and the panelists, we hear a lot of great quotes about humor. From humor are spice that makes our speech interesting. Humor is the easiest way to make money. And this one that I particularly like, you're funny and you should win. That works in everything in life. And in comedy, there has to be a victim. And it better be yourself if you want to be safe and relatable by audience. That's all from me, Mr. GE. Thank you.
Sorry, you're still muted, DTM Review.
Thank you. Thank you very much, President and Grammarian Toastmaster Salman, for your report. Guys, I believe the ballot for the best evaluator is up. Please do the needful. Then moving on next, the and word of the day report by Toastmaster Mazel, please. Toastmaster Mazel.
Thank you, GE. How about my screen? Everybody can see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. For this time, I try to collect all the aha and the repeating words and the special word WOD. From here, I manage from the alphabet from A to S, so make easy for us to find our name in here. And I add some color for easy for us to notice. And congratulations for us, because for this time I see many times we use excitement, WOD today, many times from the speakers here. Thank you very much. From me, that's all.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mazel, for your R counter and the word of the day report. Now I believe it's my time for me to share my feedback, my viewpoint. As usual, as I said, I'll always try to remain positive. I won't pawn on areas considered negative. That's not necessary. But anyway, this was a good meeting. Absolutely no doubt about that. Exciting, excitement, fun, and there was a talk on humor. That's something that's always close to everybody's mind. We want to be entertained. So there was plenty of ingredients for a happy meeting. The meeting started on time, which is the first thing off. So that's positive. Good ground rules. The Sergeant at Arms read out the ground rules, very clear, very explicit. We set the tempo. Toastmaster of the evening was dynamic, excited, and lively. So that's very important. And the introduction of speakers. Now, as far as introduction of speakers is, if I may suggest, try to give a little bio, a short bio to lift up and set the stage for the speaker. Normally, that's the protocol. In anywhere you go, they will give a little bit of background of the speaker, how long he's been Toastmasters, what kind of job he's doing, what is his hobby. Build him up, make him look good in the presence of everybody, then introduce the speaker. Of course, this takes some research, takes some extra work. But today with our SMS and messages and all the things, you collect the data quite easily. It's not difficult. So try to get to the habit. Now, the little areas for improvement, these are little areas, but I'm just trying to say so that you can polish it up. But before that, at the height of this meeting, at the peak, when the humor session is on, you had a total of 46 people, 46 people attending, which is good by any count. So 46, of course, credit goes to all our speakers this evening. All of them are established in Toastmasters, very well known for their own areas of expertise. So that possibly helped to draw in the crowd. So 46 is good. Now, areas for improvement. I feel the program element could be a bit more neater and tidier. I'm not saying it's not tidy at the moment, but could be better so that I can decipher the information easily. What I'll do is I will send 1 or 2 samples to your president that come from other clubs. My home club, Kota Kinabalu Toastmasters Club, we have been in existence for 32 years. So we have a very good program element. Last night, I was with the Toastmasters Club that belongs to the senior government officers and diplomatic officers here in Malaysia. They also have a very good program element. Very easy to see, very nicely done. I'll send it to your president, see whether you like to emulate and follow that. But anyway, this is not that bad. I've seen even worse, all right? Now, I would suggest your SCBD, put it in full on your thing so that people know the name. When you say SCBD to a non-member, they would not know what it is. Put it in full, then bracket, you put SCBD. Then there is some reference. I had this same thing with the club I attended last night. It's in short, they are PPTD. Now, what does PPTD mean? It's just alphabet soup. Or I can say KKTMC. What does it mean to you? So put it in full. So people will relate that, that kind of thing. Those are the small things. Then the participants' names. My suggestion is please put their full names. Put their full names in full so that we give them the honor of reading out their full names. And over a period of time, of course, we can call their short names once they've used their full names, but get into the habit of using full names if you can. Of course, a small slip when the Sergeant at Arms opened the meeting is a happy morning. I probably think it's in a mood of excitement, that's why I say happy morning. So that's excusable, a small little thing. Other than this, it's a fantastic meeting. No big ticket items. Trust me on this, no big ticket items. I thank you very much for inviting me. I look forward to coming and joining you next time. Possibly next time I'd like to do a speech here. And with this, I'd like to hand the floor to the ballot counter. Toastmaster Far, please, for the Hall of Fame. Thank you, sir.
Right, Toastmaster Fa, please.
Okay, let me prepare my share screen first. Okay. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay. Happy morning, everyone. I hope everyone in here have a spirit morning because right now we will see the Hall of Fame's SCBD Toastmaster. Without any further ado, let's see the first. Oh, sorry. The first, the most favorite prepared speaker for tonight's meeting, and congratulations for the Toastmaster IU for to be the most favorite prepared speaker for tonight. And then, yes, let's move to the most favorite evaluator. That congratulations.
Jing jang.
Yes, Toastmaster Andika for tonight favorite, the most favorite evaluator, and today, and for everyone who not to be the most favorite speaker yet, don't be worried because you can try, you can make it to be motivation and try it to our next meeting. That's all for my report. Thank you, and back to Toastmaster.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, GE team and Toastmaster Fa and Ballot Counter. I'm very grateful to be here in Toastmaster, and I hope everyone is enjoying today. A lot of emotion, and let me close this meeting with my closing remarks. I try my best with my joke. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, okay, that's all for me. And please, if you have any question about SCBD Toastmaster, to our Vice President of Membership, Toastmaster Hani. So that's all for me. Okay, I'm sorry. I think I have. Okay. Right. I'm sorry. Network issue. So that's all for me. Thank you so much for joining this session. I hope you enjoy today. Do you hear my jokes?
No.
Not yet.
No,
Okay.
I didn't. Repeat.
Okay, repeat. Yeah. So.
Good looking. Oh no, not yet.
Okay. Yeah, we are together here from the start. Yeah, if you want to go fast, I think you're familiar with this code. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, take a COVID.
Go together.
Take a COVID test.
Okay, how do you like it?
Love it.
Okay, and that's all from our session today. If you have any question, please kindly contact our VP membership, Toastmaster Hani. That's all for me. I will give the control back to our president, Toastmaster Sama. The screen is yours.
Thank you, Tom. What a roller coaster of emotion tonight. First, we got inspiration from Toastmaster Ayu, and then we got spooked by Toastmaster Dendy, and then we have a fun time together with Toastmaster Isyraqi and the wonderful panelists tonight that teaches us how to craft funny speeches. But before I end this meeting, I have some announcement to share with you guys. First, unfortunately, our hybrid session is going to be postponed from Friday, September 2nd to Friday, September 9th due to technical issue, but I hope it doesn't dampen our excitement, and we are still going to have a fun time there for the second week of September. And also, this is the announcement I have to make that we are going to have to renew our membership. The due date is going to be on the 13th September. And if you have any question about the method of payment, because we also have this forward, you can also pay from this month if you want to pay it in installment twice, August and September, to make it more easier to your cash flow. just contact one of the EXCO or contact Toastmaster Hani as the Vice President of membership. And for the next the program for the next 4 weeks, Toastmaster Alvin will have something to share as the VPE. The screen is yours. You're still muted. Sorry, Toastmaster Alvin.
Yeah, just a real quick from Edu committee that in the 16th September, we will have a speakathon. So we will have 100 speakers, not 100 yet, probably 8 to 10 speakers. So please, guys, prepare your speech now, and please make sure you take a role at least 4 weeks before. And then in the next month, in the 30 September, we will have another edu session about the benefit of joining Toastmaster. And that's all from me. Back to you, President.
Yes, I would like to hear more from you, but unfortunately we are over time. So I'm just going to say that we are going to open this Zoom meeting for another 1 or 2 hours. So feel free to stay, to ask questions, or just to chat, or just to find your soulmate. Feel free, do whatever you want here. But officially, with the power vested on me as the President, I would like to conclude this meeting, and I would like to really thank you all. Thank you for our panelists, Toastmaster Eleos, Toastmaster Reza, and distinguished Toastmaster Reza, for gracing us with your knowledge and insight. I hope we are going to see you again. But now I'm going to conclude this meeting with a clap. Thank you, everyone, and happy weekend.
Happy weekend.
Happy weekend.
Happy weekend, everybody.
Happy weekend, everybody.
Happy weekend.
Can someone?
By the way, from the guests, feel free if you want to stay, or if you want to ask more about SCBD Toastmasters Club.
Yeah.
Hello, guests.